Well, welcome back to the one that most of you have been waiting for. Finally, back on the River Humber. You join me just in time for what looks like a stunning sunrise. As you can see, rods are all set up, and this is the first dedicated cod session. As you all know, I like to keep nice and honest with you. I wanted to be here a lot earlier this morning, but frankly I couldn't be asked to get out of bed. So it's just gone 6 o'clock. I wanted to be here for I wanted to be fishing for 5. Now, was that a bite or is that the tide? High water is at 8:30. Fairly reasonable tides as well today. Let me switch that off actually. It's not dazzling you. There we go, you might be able to see a bit better now. Like I say, it's just gone 6 o'clock. I wanted to be here and fishing for 5, but I left mine at sort of 20 past 4. The alarm went off at 3:30 and it wasn't happening. So yeah, I rolled out of bed at about just gone 4, out into the van and away. So we're here, we're set up. Now, I say that this is the first dedicated cod session. I have done quite well on flatfish here, so what I've done is I've mixed it up slightly. I've got a pulley panel rig out on one rod, and on there at the minute I've got half a cart wing, and on the other rod I've got a little flatty spreader bar, which is the one that's just pinged off actually in the tide. It does look like that's just moving around in the tide. I can't see too much more movement in there, but yeah, tide is licking through. I'm already on second casts. The first casts, I wouldn't say I banged them 80 yards or so, and they came straight round to the point where they were, you know, practically at the Humber Bridge. So I've recast. The rod closest to you is the one with the flatty rig on. That's probably, I'd say, 40 yards out, and I fired that out towards Sperm Point, and it settled quite nicely, almost straight out in front of us, but slightly to the left. And as you might have just seen in the camera, picked up in the camera, that's just popped loose now. And then this rod closest to me is the one that I've got the pennel on with the cart wings, and that is probably no more than 30 yards from the side, and that I have banged straight up and in line with this with the building, and that is staying exactly where I put it. I've got 7-ounce leads on both of those. Targeting today is flatties, cod. I'm sure we're going to get some whiting in there at some point. A bit of a shorter session than I was hoping for, but we should still get 4 hours on here, I think. I plonk myself down on a box, get comfy, settle in, and chill out and unwind a little bit. I hope you're all doing all right. I was kicking myself a little bit this morning when we left. When I got in the van, we left, and it was almost 4:30, and I was like, oh, we're not going to be fishing till 6, blah blah blah. But I have to remind myself, I do this for a hobby, I do this for fun. Yes, I make videos for YouTube, but I'm just like you guys. I come out to enjoy fishing. Jumping in the van and beating myself up that I haven't got out of bed at almost 3 o'clock in the morning is unfair on myself. I guess the point I'm trying to make is just be careful of the way that you talk to yourself. The one voice you'll hear more than any other is your own voice. Whether that's, you know, talking out loud, although you might get some funny looks, but in your head. So just be mindful of how you talk to yourself, because it does play a big part of your mental health. If you're constantly beating yourself up, it will wear you down. Look after yourselves, talk to each other, and don't be so harsh on yourselves. So enough of that, let's go back to some fishing. Oh well, if this is how it's gonna be all day, this is gonna suck. Just look at the weed building up on there. Oh, that's ridiculous. Oh, that's bad. I won't even winch it in anymore. I'm gonna have to unline that now. Otherwise it's gonna get snagged up and we'll lose a lot. Oh, what a ball ache. One thing though, doing it like this, you can really feel, I was going to say, you can really feel the bottom and it doesn't sound too snaggy, and then it's snagged up almost instantly. Oh, let's get that lead up. Oh no, that's snagged. Well, this does not look to be too much fun, does it? Let's be honest. I'd say these have been out there about 20 minutes and this is no fun. This is no fun at all. On this reel as well, I have got shock leader, whereas on the other one I'm fishing braid straight through. Now on the braid straight through, I'm probably just going to cut it off and retie it every time. Just slide the weed straight off the end, because this is probably going to take a good 10-15 minutes or so to clear off here. It's just along the complete length of line as well. I think we're going to end up having to... I've moved the camera a little bit just so I can get you on them clickbait thumbnails that everybody else seems to use. Not that I hate clickbait, but... Come on. Come on. Oh, you little bugger. Well, like I say, probably not fishing shock leader anymore. Right, well, after that snap off, we've moved locations slightly. Don't know what's going on with the GoPro. It keeps cutting out on me, so I've resorted to the old GoPro, which normally I carry around as a backup. So I don't know how good the audio is going to be on this one, but yeah, we've moved. We've come down to the end of where I was fishing. It's only 100 yards or so I snagged up a couple of times there. To be honest, every time I come and fish this spot, there is always somebody fishing on this part of the mark. I've always got away with it down that end, but everybody I've spoke to always says, oh yeah, it's really snaggy up there, avoid up there. You know, there's rumours of old chains and ropes and stuff from the fishing boats, and they reckon it's a tackle graveyard. Now, I've never really struggled up there. I've snagged into it once or twice, but always managed to retrieve. But given that I've just snapped off and I'm getting all that weed and the tide pull is still pretty strong, and there's nobody down here, I thought I'd come and fish down here instead and give it a go. So I've lost that flatty rig. That's gone, that's done, dusted, dead in the water, quite literally, and I've swapped that out now for a pulley dropper. So out there at the minute I've got blacks on one rod and I've got cartwing again on the other rod. Apologies for the hood and it keep getting in my way. I've had a bit of a shocker and I've left my hat in the van, and there is, although it is an absolute stunning morning, there is probably, I'd say, 4 to 5 mile an hour wind, or breeze I suppose you'd call that, blowing through, and it is bitter. So my tabs are suffering, so the hood is going to have to stay up. But yeah, this is essentially what used to be the old fishing docks behind me. This mark is called, well, it's called Bullnose. It's a memorial essentially, or it's been turned into a memorial for trawlermen who lost their lives. Let's see what the GoPro's cut out again. But yeah, 1883 is the earliest one I've seen on here, through to 1933 I think is the latest. Oh no, 1966. But yeah, we've moved. It's a stunning morning. Apart from that bitter breeze, there was a bit of rain on the way down here, but it's cleared up, as you can see. Blue skies. We've got a lovely sunrise behind us. All we need now is a few fish to turn up. Just take a look at that. Hey, off the mark, and that is by far my biggest whiting of this season. So a lot of people have requested it, a lot of people have commented on how I don't take anything home for the table. He is coming home with me. Hopefully I can get a few of his brethren and we'll make a good cook up, shall we? Right, well, we're off the mark, which is always good. Now what's not good, well, there's good and the bad, but in the last half hour, unfortunately, I've had two guys come down separate occasions looking for two different lads. The second lad has had a bit of bad news overnight, and he's rung his mate and said, look, my head's not in a good place, I'm heading down the docks. That second instant is what we should all be striving to achieve as far as I'm concerned. He's rung his mate up, his mate's come down to see him, and they're now sat just over the way. Actually, in fact, I think they've got a rod out, and whatever that bloke's going through, he's got his mate sat next to him, and they're having a good chat. And I'm not saying they're going to resolve his problems today, but it's a start. So the tide has just started to turn. I can tell that because I'm casting that way and the lines are staying that way. Also, there's a bloody branch went floating past downriver a minute ago, so I know the tide's turned. So I'm going to give it maybe another hour, see if we can't get a few more fish for the table. But after here, I am going to head further down the river for low water, and then possibly even to the coast. So I'm confident by the end of the day we will have a few more fish for the table. Hopefully I get some more fish to show you in this video. If not, I'll bring you back and I'll see you in the kitchen. Right, and welcome back everybody, welcome to the kitchen. First for me, catch and cook. So whilst you don't get to my shape being terrible in the kitchen, I can't say I'm a Michelin star chef. So what you're going to see is a very, very simple fish cake recipe. Now I'm working at speed because hanger's setting in and I don't know who's going to bite first, me or Sarah. Jack's just had his, so I've already got some potatoes on the boil. I've washed the fish, so what we're going to do is, okay, so once you've got your fish nicely cleaned, oh, spoiler alert, you're going to have to stay tuned, subscribe and watch the following video for where that comes from. You're going to have to fillet these up, so what you're going to want is a nice sharp filleting knife. Now let's see if I can do this whilst on camera. So I go in behind the pectoral fins, angle it up towards the top of the head because there's still quite a surprising amount of meat up there. Whiting aren't the biggest fish in the sea, so it's important to get as much meat as possible. Now I come down across the tail till you hit the backbone, and then just with some small strokes just want to run this knife in until you start to feel that backbone. Not sure if you'll be able to hear it because Eric's lapping away at his bowl in the background, but you should just be able to hear that fillet knife just hitting that backbone. I'm going to come all the way up to that cut that we made at the top, just join them up and then flip it up. I just want to run down them spiny little bones on the other side till you get to the bottom. And like I say, whiting, not the biggest fish in the world, so you don't get a great deal of meat off them, but like I say, the fish cakes that we used to make today are a really, really good way of using them now. I tend to, as soon as I hit the ribs, come up to the head, and that right there is, albeit a small, but a boneless fillet of whiting. And that you could breadcrumb. Like I say, I do fish fingers, so you can either breadcrumb them or just batter them. Or I'm going to show you in a minute, once I get these other ones done, fish cake recipe. I've just finished filleting the two smaller of the fish, and as you can see, I mean, that bit's pretty much see-through there, so I harvested almost as much meat. Oh, there's a little bit extra I could have got off there, but I've harvested almost as much bone-free meat as possible off those fish, and you can see the stomach bits. You can take those and try and pick the bones out, but to be honest, there's next to no meat in that bit. Like I say, whiting aren't particularly big fish in the UK waters, but there is a fair amount of meat. So out of those two fish, like I say, you could bread these, you could batter these, make little fish cake and little fish fingers out of them, I normally do, but that is a good hearty chunk of meat there. So let's take them 4 fillets. Okay, so back over the other side of the kitchen now, I've got a healthy dollop of butter just melting away in a pan. Now let's that's melted. I'll turn the heat right the way down because you don't want to burn the fish. All you're trying to do is cook it through. So I've got the butter in there. I'm going to add some garlic, some pepper and some salt. Once that garlic's cooked off and just gone nice and brown, add in his piece of fish, skin side down. A little bit more salt and pepper. Like I said, these don't need cooking for long at all. So just until they go a nice white colour, and just want to flip them over. Oh, what are you doing? Back in there. This is all where you going, get back in there. Okay. Right, secret ingredient, parsley sauce. So you want 300 ml. I'm using whole milk, so it's a little bit creamier. Stick that in there. Have a good stir. Get rid of all the lumps. And then that goes into the microwave. Now I'm going to take the potatoes that have been on the pan, boiling away for about 10 minutes or so. They've got a little bit of crunch still to them, but they're nice and soft. Now you want them soft, you don't want them mushy. Strain those. Oh, give them a good shake. Bring them back over to the pan. Stick them back in the pan. Take your masher. Give them a good pound in. You'll notice that I've left the skin on because, frankly, I think that's where most of the flavour is in potato. I don't see why you would go to the effort of peeling a potato just to waste the skins. It's not quite to mashed potato standards, that. It's still got a few lumps and bumps in it. Don't forget to keep an eye on your parsley sauce in the microwave. Only idiots do that. Some of your parsley sauce. Now once properly cooked, your fish should just flake like that. Now if you look in the middle of there, you can see still a little bit opaque in there, so that's cooked perfect for this. You probably want to cook it a little bit longer if you were just going to eat it straight out of the pan, but for this recipe that's perfect. Take that lovely flaky fish, butter and juices and all. All of that good flavour in there. Add in a healthy dollop of mature cheddar cheese. And the other important piece, don't forget to pay your cheese tax. Good boys. Right, give this another stir. You can't have fish cakes without breadcrumbs, so one of Lidl's finest. Last but not least, take your mixture, roll it into little balls, and just roll it around in your breadcrumbs. Easy as that. There you have it, 4 perfectly formed fish cakes. Now then, load them up on top of the chips in the air fryer. Pop them on air fry, 180 for 20 minutes or half an hour in the oven. Now, while they're in the air fryer, the second most important bit to all of this is clean the kitchen up, because regardless of how good your food tastes, she's still going to be miffed if the kitchen's a mess. Well, that's the first ever catch and cook done. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I say, I'm no Michelin star chef, I'm no professional fishmonger, so any hints, tips, comments, leave them down below. And on that note, there's nothing more for me to say other than thanks for watching, take care of yourselves and tight lines.